Spotlight on Laurel, Her History and Her People is a series of interviews we're presenting on our beautiful home, London and Laurel County. And it's brought to you by Noah White, the video guy, the Sentinel-Echo, KJ Music Radio Promotions, and the Light of London. You can catch the audio portion of these every Thursday and Friday on WJTE-FM 98.5, and as well as Facebook. Now we're also loading these up on YouTube. This will be episode 10 in the series. If you would rather watch it on YouTube, you just type in the search bar, episode 10, Roy Schott. And today we're pleased to be speaking with Roy Schott. Roy, how you doing today?
All right, sir.
Good. Roy, first I always like to begin with asking you to let our listeners and our viewers know some of your family history, beginning with your parents, right on down through your family presently.
Family present.
Yeah, your mom and dad, and then right on down.
Well, my dad was a coal miner and a farmer.
Yeah.
And my mother was a homemaker.
Okay.
She had 4 kids.
Yeah. Are you the last one of those left?
No, my sister is.
Okay, your sister. Okay.
I'm the third boy.
Okay.
Elmer was the oldest, and George, that's Mike's daddy there. And then me, and then Effie.
Okay. All right. And so you grew up, what part of Laurel County did you grow up in?
Helvetia.
Helvetia, which is Pittsburgh area.
Pittsburgh area, yeah.
Yeah. Now your family now, how many kids you got and your grandkids and all that?
Uh-oh. I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And 8 grandchildren.
Yeah.
And 3 great-grandchildren.
3 great-grand, yeah.
I hope I didn't miss one.
Well, you're excused if you did. Now, Roy, you've seen many changes here through the years.
Yes.
Tell us about some of those changes.
Well, when I was in the 7th grade in Helvetia School, I won Laurel County Spelling Bee.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Janice Pointer was my opponent from Lily School.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to East Bernstein High School. And then I got me a job at Doc's Garage up here, 6 days a week for $1.50 a day.
6 days a week for $1.50 a day.
For $1.50.
Wow. About what year would that have been?
It was during the war.
During World War II. So what? And we're speaking of World War II.
World War II, yes.
And we want to talk some about World War II for sure. But is that where you learned to mechanic?
Yeah, right at Doc's Garage.
Yeah.
Right there, you know where Doc's Garage is?
No.
It's where the Sentinel-Echo is now, right through them doors there.
Is that right?
That's right. When World War II ended, courthouse rung them bells all day long.
Is that right?
But the thing about it is, every week when you read the Sentinel during the war, you'd see 3 or 4 dead from Laurel County, young men.
Yeah, yeah. And that was tough. That was tough. Yeah, that was tough. And the Sentinel would put that in there, and then when the war ended, it was a series of jubilation, a time of joy in this county, and the whole world rejoiced that day. But bringing it back home and hitting home with it, everyone, that was a happy day to know you weren't going to see that in the Sentinel-Echo anymore.
My brother got wounded in the Battle of the Bulge. Elmer.
Battle of the Bulge, yeah. Now, how did you? Let's go back a ways here, because you're 91 years old.
I can't help it.
Well, you come to work every day, so you're fooling people. See, at 91 years old, not supposed to come to work every day. Yeah. No, that's very admirable of you. But you were around during the Great Depression and the WPA and World War II.
Oh, yeah.
So those times here in Laurel County, what were they like? What were those times like here? I mean, I know you told us you would see 3 or 4 dead each week in the Sentinel. They rang the bells at the courthouse on the day that the war ended. But just times in general here, when the war was, how did you not? have to go to the war? Were you a little young for the war?
When I listened, I was young, but then the last day of the draft, I was at Fort Knox. And the sergeant got up there and he said, the Harry Truman ended the draft last night. Anybody that don't want to go, fall out. And I always kidded everybody I fell out so fast that they're still hunting me. But then in 1950, I went to Union College up there and picked my girlfriend up on Sunday afternoon. And when I got in the car,
Yeah.
Harry Truman declared war on North Korea.
Oh.
And then after that, me and a lot of boys here went to Army.
Okay. Okay.
Some of them went to Germany, and some of them went to Korea, and some went to Alaska.
Where did you go? Did you?
Well, now, I was the dumbest man in the whole United States Army. They had me down as a demolition expert, and I have no desire to be a demolition expert. So I flunked everything until they sent me to Korea. And 6 weeks after I got over, I was a motor sergeant.
Is that right?
And the whole time I was there.
Yeah.
That was in 50, 51, and 2.
Okay. That was the Korean conflict. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then when I came home, I got a job in Louisville at a machine shop.
Was there not a lot of opportunity here? You say you went to Louisville. I guess the bigger cities was where more of the opportunity was. I know the WPA was working hard on buildings here, schools and things like that at the time. That was a little after that, I guess.
I got married down there, and she left a year of finishing nursing school.
Okay.
So I worked in Louisville till I come here.
So you was following a woman around.
Yeah, you said that right. And I had a good woman for 49 and a half years, too.
Yeah, all right. That was worth following around.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, yeah. So Louisville, y'all were in Louisville, and then you ended up coming back home.
Yeah, good job down there.
Is that right? Yeah.
Good job.
Making
she had
money
a good job.
at the time, good money at the time. Yeah. But you wanted to come home.
Won't come home.
Yeah. Come home and raise your family here. So
while I was working at Doc's garage, Russell Doc didn't know how to drive, and I'd have to work on his car all the time.
So that kept you busy.
Well, he come in the garage. The Sentinel-Echo was down there in right this side of that White House.
Okay.
In a tin building. That's where the Sentinel-Echo was.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. And so you learned to mechanic just because he couldn't do anything. That's funny. So let's back up a little bit here, Roy, because you were telling us you grew up in Helvetia, but you went to school with my Aunt Jessie, who we interviewed earlier. She's 94 years old. Was she the only one of those Kay and Emmy Williams siblings that you went to school with her? And was that at Carmichael School or Helvetia School?
East Bernstead School.
East Bernstead School.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So your people were among the early settlers here from Switzerland. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no. Their mother and daddy.
Your grandparents were.
Grandparents were. 3 of them were from Switzerland, and 1 of them from Germany.
Okay.
And in 1939, my grandfather was visiting us. He lived in Illinois. He was visiting us, and he said, at 3 o'clock, I'm going to listen to this radio. Adolf Hitler was on the radio, and he had to listen to Adolf. But he didn't have nothing good to say about Adolf.
Right, but he wanted to listen to him.
But he wanted to listen to him, yes.
And he was from Germany.
He was from Germany.
Okay, he was from Germany. The rest were from Switzerland. Wow, that's amazing. he wanted to have that radio on, tuned in to see
Oh,
what
yeah.
Adolf Hitler
Oh,
said, and that was 1939.
39.
Well, you know, a lot of folks aren't aware of how East Bernstadt got its name. Now, I don't know where the East came in. I know the Swiss settlers settled on that end of the county, but there's probably more Swiss immigrants here and their families than any other nationality. I'm guessing that. Besides probably Great Britain, I think there's so many Swiss here that people don't even, they take it for granted these days and don't realize it. But those folks, and I did a little research on this, Roy, those folks came over from Bern, Switzerland, which was the capital of Switzerland. That's the Bern, that's the Bern part of Bernstadt. And the European definition of the word stat, S-T-A-D-T, means city or town, or in this case, settlement. So it was originally Bernstadt, and I assume because Swiss colony was on the west of the colony of the Swiss, they said we'll do Swiss colony here and call this East Bernstadt, which stood for Bern settlement.
Yes.
Swiss settlement, in other words. Now, my great grandparents were Anton and Ida Blunchy. They came over with your grandparents.
Yeah.
And when they got here, and you can divulge more information on this than I can, but those people came in search of land to better themselves and have a better life than they had there. They couldn't speak a word of English here. They had to learn all that. Anton helped build the Catholic Church down there. He helped them get a banking system going down in the north end and things like that. And I'm very proud of some of that stuff that I've read about him. He died when he was in his 50s, so my grandfather never knew him. But your people, same thing with them. They couldn't speak a word of English. Did you ever learn? Did you ever have to learn another language?
Listen, when I started to school, I had to learn English.
When you started to school, you had to learn English.
Well, I know a lot of it.
But you didn't even speak English.
Anyhow, I had
wow
boys to make fun of me because I couldn't.
Is that right?
Pronounce that in English.
Is that right? That's an amazing fact.
That's right.
Yeah. So they still talked in their native language even when they got here and they learned English. That's very amazing. So how much back then? Of course, there were different schools, and my grandfather only got. He would have been 100 had he lived to see his birthday this year. But Vic, but Vic, he only had an 8th grade education. He fought in World War II. He and his brother Lee.
Elmer.
Lee. Yeah. And Jesse was here helping the family work. Yeah. And but a lot of the Swiss, the Swiss name's Blunchy. Schott's a Swiss name, and I think the Schott a Swiss
Schott's
name.
a German.
Schott's a German name, but your others were Swiss. Now Bender, Keller, there's a lot of Swiss names in Laurel County. Blunchy's one of those. You've seen Main Street where your business is here. How long have you been in this location?
Since 1964.
1964.
Yeah, but I started on the south end in 55.
55, you started on South End. You moved here in 64, and you've been here ever since, which is a testament, really. But let me ask you this. How have you seen Main Street of London change over those years?
Well, it got wider and more banks and more red lights.
What about the traffic before I-75? This was the main artery.
Well, it was bumper to bumper on holidays. Bumper to bumper. Dr. Turner come in here one day at 2 o'clock, and traffic was bumper to bumper. He said, I've been since 11 o'clock coming to London at 2 o'clock. And he got on that phone over there and called the highway department for about 2 hours. And that night he died.
Is that right?
He died.
Wow. So when you were hearing talk of this interstate highway system, nobody knew any. I mean, now we take it for granted, But I think folks probably at that time thought this is a whole new world, kind of like we think, that's going to, and it did. It changed everything. But were folks around here, what did they think about I-75 being right next to them?
The sheriff asked me, he says, what are you going to do when the highway opens up? I said, I'm going to take a week off and come back to work. And that was in 77, wasn't it?
No, 60, late 60s, right? Wouldn't it say 60s?
No. 77.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
I can remember also when the 192 bypass came in there, and that was huge at the time too. But I don't remember the inception of I-75. I just know that you've seen Main Street change, and my grandfather, or even for that matter, my father, wouldn't believe how technology now has changed the world. You spoke earlier off camera about our phones and things. Folks live inside those phones. Back in the good old days, we had to remember telephone numbers, and we had to remember. And now kids take for granted they carry the world in their pocket because they can Google anything they want to, and it's right there.
That's right.
Yeah, times certainly have changed since then, right?
Yeah, you had phone number 22L, 32R.
So let's go back a ways to World War II. You said your brother got wounded in World War II.
Yeah.
How badly wounded?
Well, bad enough to get off the front line.
He was on the
He
front
had
line.
shrapnel in his lung till he died at 92-year-old last year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, he lived to be
And
92 years.
his daddy went to George. He went to Okinawa.
Okinawa.
That was after the war.
Yeah. And at times then, I guess just everybody was on the edge of their seat because everyone was affected by World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And family there somehow. Bad times.
I still got some gas stamps. You had to have stamps to get 5 gallons of gas with. And I still got some of those green stamps.
Is that right? Wow. So you had to have stamps to get gas. Everything was rationed?
Oh, yeah. We raised our own hogs. We had country ham.
And you raised what you ate. You ate from the
Yeah,
land.
we had to raise what we ate and can what we eat.
You can, yeah. Now,
And there was no food at the school either. You took it with you in your hind pocket if you had one.
is that right? Yeah. Yeah, they didn't feed you in the lunchroom at school. You had to take it with you. Yeah. And I guess back then, moms and dads were just happy to have kids getting an education.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. So this generation now, my generation and my children's generation, I'm old enough to have grandchildren, but I don't have any, but the generations of today, and even my parents' generation, I think the World War II generation probably spoiled their kids because they didn't want them to have things as tough as they did, but that was, and I think it's been called the greatest generation. I think maybe Dan Rather or somebody wrote a book along those lines. It was the greatest generation. Those people were tough. Your people were tough. I've heard of my grandmother walking in the snow to school for miles and doing her chores before that, coming home, doing her chores after school, doing her homework, same thing the next morning, going out and milking cows and feeding chickens and then walking to school, same thing. This generation now would never make it.
No.
They wouldn't survive that. But you did things back then because you had to. The nation was even still building, Laurel County was a huge part of that. You had all these pockets of different communities. Let's talk about the Korean conflict that you were in. You were you in combat? I know you said you.
Well, I was in the combat engineers.
Okay.
And when bullets fly over you for 6 months, day and night, you call that combat?
Yeah.
And then when we first got to build a bridge, there was a river full of dead Chinese soldiers and ponies.
Oh.
And then if you look on your computer today, we built that bridge and named it after the general that died there. And I always thought he got killed in combat. But if you'll look at Charleston, South Carolina newspaper,
Yeah.
you'll see where a whole front page dies. General Ledoux dies of a massive heart attack due to 4 days of intensive fighting.
Really?
It's in the paper computer today.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Due to 4 days of intensive fighting. Yeah.
That's the reason all them ponies and show. Them boys got one live pony. They rode it to death.
What's that like though, seeing something like that? I mean, that has to change your whole life. That changes. You never forget that. It's a vivid image.
That's never did a lot. It bothered me. I was in war. That's what you expect. I just didn't want to see none of my friends there.
That's right. That's right. But you did see some of your friends probably perish in the war.
Yeah, my first cousin, he's a infantryman in the Marine Division. He got shot up twice. He was in a medical tent right south of me, and we saw each other several times.
And he lost his life. So
he's still living.
Oh, he's still living. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Charles Straub.
Is that right? Yeah.
That was my mother's maiden name, Straub.
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 Yeah. Now that's Swiss.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, so were you still active in war when the Korean conflict came to a halt?
No, sir. I was working in Louisville, and Eisenhower said he had ended, and I came home and voted for him.
Yeah. He said he'd end the war, and you came home and voted for him.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah. And he kept his word. Or did Eisenhower was clear me up on that.
Change your think about it. When I was walking up the gangplank in Seattle, Washington, the paper man was saying, extra, read all about it. Truman fires MacArthur. I didn't know how to take that. I thought maybe the war would be over before long.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
No.
Yeah. But those times of conflict, see, we know about 9/11 and we know about terrorism and we know about religious conflict and all that, but you all have seen that firsthand, and people who live that's a terrible thing. I mean, it's you're more interested in the news. You were then. Every single newspaper you wanted to see what was going on. You had a vested interest in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now,
That was back when newspapers were a nickel. You know what a nickel is today?
Barely. Yeah. Nickel won't buy you much today. No.
Barely.
Yeah. Yeah, they call that inflation. Yeah. You could get by you could get a lot for a little back then, but it took a lot of hard work to get what you got. Yeah. Well, it certainly has been a pleasure, Roy. I do appreciate you, buddy.
Okay.
And now listen, I hope I'm blessed to be kicking as high as you are.
Oh, yeah.
At 91.
Or Jessie, your Aunt Jessie.
Or Jessie, yeah, she's 94, but I just hope the good Lord lets me live that long. You've been blessed, sir. I appreciate you too. And let me tell this before we sign off. You've worked on my car several times, and you've worked on our family's vehicles down through the years. And you have things you specialize in here, air conditioning and things like that, and heating, cooling systems. But I'd always come to you and you'd say, I don't know if I've got time to do that or not. And then if you start to walk away from me, you say, well, I'll get you in here. Come on in and pull it in. And then I'd always think, he didn't charge me enough for that. But you've made a good living just by being yourself and being honest with people.
Eat every night. My family never went hungry either.
You've eat every night and your family never went hungry. And you treat people right, you'll be blessed for it.
One of my daughters is in Paris this week.
Is that right? Paris?
Her and her husband vacation.
Yeah. So you've been blessed, and your generations have been blessed by being an honest businessman in Laurel County.
I can fly anywhere I want to on account of her being a stewardess.
Yeah. When she told you she wanted to be a stewardess,
she didn't ask me. She was cutting her in Grand Over Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina.
And just decided she wanted to be a stewardess.
Marie Osmond and Whitney Houston.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
I said, was Whitney sober when you were? And she wouldn't answer me. I guess she saw it wasn't none of my business.
That's funny. I don't think anybody in Laurel County has ever tied Roy Schott to Whitney Houston. But now, they say you can tie the world up with 6 of your acquaintances in a lifetime. So you can go all the way around the world. And you have ties to Whitney Houston through your daughter. Roy, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.